Congratulations. You've made it through. You've made it this far and you've made history. I'm proud of you. 2020 was the year that a husband told his wife, "We'll go on our trip out of state next weekend, don't worry." A young filmmaker told themselves that they had time to hold off on their latest project. A high school boy told himself that he'd ask out his crush on Monday after waiting all week and chickening out. Little did they all know that no one would be going on a trip the next weekend. There would never be a better time to get started, and there would never be an on Monday. They missed their opportunity. That was more than 450,000 minutes ago. Since then, we have been through more than 450,000 minutes of canceled trips, empty stadiums, lonely delivery rooms, quiet campuses, slow offices, and for some of us, uncountable Zoom meetings, and even more missed opportunities. One man, a resounding character in our community named Bob Hoyme, moved himself and his life to Idaho to be closer to his family, specifically his beautiful grandchildren. This grandfather was so excited to take his grandbabies to zoos, parks, bowling alleys, games, but despite the intentions, 2020 brought that opportunity and the pandemic took it away. It was hard and frustrating, but you've each made it here, and I am so proud of you. 2020 was one of the most pivotal years of our lives that brought so much defeat and uncertainty, but it also brought us the opportunity to reprioritize, relax. Yes, I said relax, and reapproach. For some of us, before the pandemic hit, we had this idea of what we thought was important. School events, work deadlines, extracurricular commitments. But when all of that was taken away, look at us now. All of the things that we thought were monumentally important look so small now. The things that we were looking forward to were dramatically taken away, but there is still light in what last year has to offer. There is a new opportunity to ask ourselves, what is important? Because before we started to miss work, we started to miss our families. Before we started to miss our vacations, galas, proms, whatever it might have been, we started to miss going to the grocery store when and how we pleased. We had our priorities all wrong, and we didn't even realize it. But luckily, even though 2020 tested us in ways we could not have imagined, it also brought us the opportunity to ask ourselves again, what is important? What do you miss most? All of the anxieties, worries, doubts that you have now, the ones that feel like they weigh more than they ever have before, eventually will look so small. So take the time now to look at your priorities in a new light. What are you going to let into and out of your life? Take your time. 2020 took away a lot of our opportunities, but brought us a huge one. The opportunity to appreciate the important things that are oftentimes right in front of us. Take this opportunity to reprioritize. There's no wrong way to do it. There is just doing and not doing. You cannot be anything but the best version of yourself in our situation, because you are the only person who has had to deal with your situations as you in your circumstances. So as long as you are doing, you will be the best that has ever been or will be. You are the best stay-at-home mom who has ever had to stay at home with your children, because you're the only one who's had to stay at home with them during these times. You are the most successful person in your position at work, because you are the only person who has to work your job at your place of work at this time. So as long as you are doing, you will be the best that has ever been or ever will be. And that is incredible. I am so proud of you. Right now is our opportunity to get a new perspective, to be more understanding, to be more forgiving of those around us, of course, but also to ourselves. Give yourself grace. Take a moment to breathe. Give yourself a break and remember that This pandemic is our opportunity to finally see where we've come and appreciate it. This pandemic is our opportunity to relax. So between the latest news, Netflix binges, and ever-changing guidelines, don't forget to relax. But don't forget that this pandemic is whatever you make of it, and you should make something. This year has looked so much different for us than so many other years. So many traditions have been put on hold or skipped, but what is stopping us from adjusting them, from reapproaching them? All traditions have to start somewhere, so make one. For example, a woman in our community named Kathy Guy used to spend Chinese New Year with her mother every year. Her mother would cook and be a place of gathering. She would teach the younger generation of the cultural values tied to the occasion. However, each year the occasion got smaller and smaller up until this year when no one was allowed to join or gather. This would also be the first year that Kathy's mother wouldn't be joining them. But Kathy took it upon herself to reapproach the tradition. She reached out to her family and asked them to join her for a virtual Happy Chinese New Year. She encouraged them each to find new ways of spending time together, and then she retold the meaning of Chinese New Year the way that her mother would year after year. Kathy made something of this pandemic. She made a tradition, and she made her mother proud. This pandemic is whatever you make of it. So make something, make a new friend, make time for yourself, make progress in a book you haven't picked up in a while, make something. The opportunities are all around you as long as you take the time to find them. Quote, "For there is always light. If only we are brave enough to see it. If only we are brave enough to be it." Amanda Gorman, ask yourself, what is important? Give yourself grace and make something of this pandemic, and be proud of yourself, because you should be. You should be your priority. And every time you get on yourself for not making enough of this pandemic, relax, because we've already made history, remember? You can do this. Be the opportunity, put 2020 in its place, reprioritize, relax, and reapproach.